1994, I went to Russia, and at the time I was a writer for the Conan O'Brien show, so I went to the head writer and I said, I have to quit because I think I'm going to have a nervous breakdown. And he said, take 2 weeks off. So I just said, I'm going to go to Russia, because when I was a kid, I used to read Russian novels, and I loved them, and I would open all the windows, and I wanted to be cold like they were. I speak no Russian. I can't even look at the alphabet. I went to Moscow, which is, when you land in Moscow, it's just forest, and there's a city in the middle of just forest. I was in a restaurant, and a waiter came up to me, and he said, Coca-Cola? And I said, uh-huh. So he went to the kitchen, and he got a Coke in a can, and he handed it to me, and he said, $5, because only dollars were worth anything there. And I said, okay, on my bill. He said, no, $5, me now. So I gave him $5, and he put on his coat, and he left. He just sold me a Coke on the side, and then quit his job. And I tried to watch television, and the TV was American shows like Dynasty. What they did was the sound is a little down, and there's just one man saying all of the dialogue over the whole show. The streets in Moscow during the Cold War, they were made wider so that they could have missiles go down the middle of the street, unnerving how unsafe the whole city is. So the streets are very wide, and you can't cross the street on a green light. You'll never make it. So they made tunnels so you can go under, and those are connected to the subway. And the subway in Moscow, you go down in an escalator, it just keeps going. Like, this is so deep, this is really upsetting. And the one thing about Russia, still today, I think, is that no one has any money. So when you see a guy playing the violin in the subway, he's like the first chair violin for like the Russian Symphony Orchestra, because that doesn't pay shit. And we're crying, everybody's crying. Everybody. It's just normal. People are just watching, just wiping away tears. And then this group of kids walked by, 8 children, ranging from 5 to 10 years old, and their faces were dirty, like, you know, like in Oliver Twist, like they were in a play. And they're all wearing men's coats, you know, from the neck down to the floor. And none of them have sleeves, their hands in their sleeves. Their sleeves are just flopping. And you kind of knew all the men who owned those coats are dead. And at least one of these kids killed those guys. Like, I swear I looked at an 8-year-old's face and thought, he has murdered. And that's what they looked like, just tough little kids. The guy sitting below me called out to the head kid in the front. I don't speak Russian, so I just knew he was going, he's appealing to him. He needed something. And the kid with his hands in his sleeve looked at him suspiciously and said, like, what the fuck, why, what do you want from me? And the guy went, explaining himself, and he showed that his shoe had come apart. And he showed that his shoe was like a flap, and he showed the kid, and he showed him his shoe. And the kid shrugged and said, like, okay. And the kid's hand appeared from out of the sleeve, and there was a tube of shoe glue in his hand. He didn't rummage for it, it was already there. And he handed it to the guy, and the guy fixed his shoe with the glue, and then the kid from the other, he took his other hand had a paper bag, and he put the glue in, and he huffed it, and his eyes rolled back, and I couldn't believe what I just saw. That the misery in this country at that time was so calculable and so predictable that this guy thought, my shoe's broken. Oh, there's a child. He's sure to have some glue in his hand because the state of our nation is so wretched. And I looked, and he looked at me, and I was startled, and then he laughed, and I laughed. And he's the only person I had any contact with. And I realized this is why I came here, to find out how bad life gets, and that when it's this bad, it's still fucking funny. That's all I got. Thank you.